were you bodybuilding back then, bud?
I was always a lifter. I mean, I wouldn't say bodybuilding, but it's been in my blood since I was like 14 when I picked up weights. So like, even when we come back from like a day or two ambush or before we're going out, everyone's sleeping. Everyone's like, you better get some freaking rest. If you fall asleep while we're out there, I'm like, I don't care. I got to go to the gym and don't be like me and in the middle of the night, like at midnight or 1 a.m. before we go out, I'd be hitting the gym before we go out. It's just, I've always kind of had that weird thing. I just pop a ton of, like back then it was like Lipo 6, like caffeine pills. I just get hopped up on those and when I was out on watch or out on a mission. It wouldn't bother me. So that's kind of always had that almost like obsessive drive about it. Plus it just made me feel good, So I've always been different like that, Even of all my buddies and stuff in the Marine Corps, I go hit the gym and then it wouldn't slow me down on missions, I'd still pass, I'd still be able to keep up or be able to truck along better than the other guys anyway. Yeah.
Now, do a lot of people deployment like that? Do a lot of people work out and stuff?
Yeah, the guys who are non-lifters become lifters on deployment because really it's the only thing to do. And anywhere you get stationed, there's some kind of like workout equipment. So when there's nothing to do, because as Marines, I don't know, everyone has different experience in going to Iraq, but as Marines, when we get stationed in the worst places, like our places, like we might get hot chow. Place we lived had no running water, so we showered with bottles of water. We had to pee and poop in these plastic bags. So basically, if you wanted to take a poop, you had to go set up this plastic bag in this like plastic toilet and close the lid, and it holds the bag. And then when you're done pooping, you seal it back up and you throw it in the trash. So that's where we lived. And that is how like minimal of like our living conditions were. So when there's nothing else to do, like that's basically there's some kind of gym or something like that. So even the non-lifters become lifters. Like, but on the bigger bases, you got internet centers, you got recreation centers, like on the big army bases and stuff like that. We're just wishing we could get some hot water. We can't do laundry, so at the end of our we get to rotate back to the base every once in a while. But at the end of a week or two, when your camis are starched with body sweat, and they're like stiff as can be because of sweat and dirt, and you haven't washed your clothes in over a week. Oh yeah, so you were asking?
Yeah. So what's it like? How is it coming back, bud? And like adapting back to civilian life after being such a tense situation?
Yeah, the second time wasn't so bad because it wasn't so crazy. It was just like really nice to be back to the amenities. But like I said, the first deployment was a lot different because, like I said, we were attacked on a daily basis. So like, it's not like the movies where you're on edge and you're just like, oh my God, looking out of the corner of your eye every 2 seconds. But sometimes you'd hear like a weird sound. Like this one guy at this bonfire was like drunk. He threw in this stupid like cheap like mace spray can into the fire. We're just sitting there and it pops, and we basically almost fell out of our seats because we ducked our heads, just stuff like that. Or like there was a plane flying by and it sounded weird. It almost sounded like gunfire in the distance, like machine gun fire. We didn't we're like ducking, but we turned, we looked at each other like that was kind of weird. Like you just kind of get like little things like that, but it's not exaggerated like you see on TV, like where you're sitting in a corner, freaking eyeballing every person, your eyes wide open, on edge. It's not crazy like that, but it's a bit different. You look at things when you come back differently too, like just the fact that you could see city lights, because there was a curfew, so all city lights were off. Their electricity runs on a weird grid. They'd shut off power at night. You'd see no headlights at night. So it's just weird to see like McDonald's signs and gas stations and headlights of cars. And almost, you don't like, have you ever, I don't know, has anyone ever stopped to like look at that and appreciate that? Like, so you come back and, oh my God, it's been 7 months, and you're like, wow, it's just like city lights and car lights at night. That's like, we're back in like a real world. Cause it's almost like you're in a movie. It's a whole different, it's just a totally different experience. It's almost like a different planet. You can never recreate that. But the weirdest thing is like when all of us guys come back for a while, we almost yearn to go back to that. It's a weird thing. It's almost like you get too comfortable for a while, and it's like you got to go back to the wild. It's almost like an animal. It's like you got to go back to the wild for a little bit. I think and it's kind of weird because when I started doing security contracting after the Marines, almost half of my platoon ended up back at my job. So like it was kind of cool to be back with each other, but working as contractors, because it's almost like we all yearn to go back to that. And yeah, so it's a little different. I mean, unless you know someone, I think a lot of people have misconceptions of what it's like coming back. Like it's all like almost like it's crazy, you know. Like I said, everyone's a little bit different as far as how they come back. Like it almost takes us 2 weeks to come back because they have like a decompression process where you stay in like Kuwait and you get to have fun and like eat chow. You're not doing anything for like 2 weeks, so it's almost like a decompression period. You do a lot of debriefs and stuff. So whereas like if you're like in a different, like I think when the Army has like their leave, they get like a 2 week leave in the middle of their 1 year deployments, and they're like instantly back in the States. Or like, you know, when the special operations and stuff operate, they're basically, you know, or like a Navy SEAL, they run back and forth like deployments. So they're like on a plane, then, you know, in 2 days, a day or two prior, they were like running a mission. Now a day or two later, they're back with their family. So it's like, I think that kind of adjustment might be a little bit harder. But it's just nice. You look at the world, you think about life differently. You know, what it means to be alive, not just alive because you survived, but just like what the meaning of your purpose of your life is and where you want to go with it. And you think about a lot of stuff. You think about how you lived and how some of the guys you knew died and why maybe you lived instead and what you should do with that and, you know, what it means to actually be able to do that and just stuff like that. I don't know.
What made you decide not to go career, bud? I'm just curious. Was that something you ever wanted to do?
I mean, I never went in thinking of it as a career, but me and Brandon have talked about it before. It was kind of like, when I went in the Marine Corps, it was kind of like, what did we call it the other day? Like a dream kill. It wasn't as quite what I expected. Like it was cool, but the other thing is about being a Marine and being in the grunts, it's like, it's kind of stupid. Babysat by a bunch of, you know, because we're a giant unit. Whereas, like if I were to go, say, if I would have chose to go to the Navy SEALs, or I went through kind of some, you know, Marines now have MARSOC, which is Marine Corps Special Operations Command, which now they operate under Special Operations. Something like that, or even similar, like when I went to contracting. It's basically you do all the cool stuff that you want to do, you bust your ass, you work hard, and you go home. When there's nothing to do, in the Marines, if there's nothing to do, they'll find something for you to do. You'll go pick up freaking cigarette butts on the ground, or some 18-year-old got drunk over the weekend, so now all of us, you know, even though I'm a sniper and I'm supposed to be highly trained and stuff, I still am part of the same unit as all the idiots, so we all get punished. We all have to freaking do the same shit together. Just dumb stuff. Even if you're out in the field training, like you're almost, you know, when you're training out in the field, you're basically pretending you're at war, you know, doing gun ranges and stuff. Well, somebody wants to yell at you because you have your hands in your pocket because you're a Marine. Like, give me a break. Like, I don't know, stuff like that. It's just dumb. So, you know, you got guys who are 35 years old, staff sergeants, and they're flipping out, stressing out because we're all waiting to go to like a parade ceremony, like practice parade ceremony, and they're flipping out because no one's in line, but we're not leaving for another 10 minutes. Like, I don't want to be 35 years old stressing about 18-year-olds not being in line. Like, it's almost like a kindergarten teacher, you know? He's, you know, just, you know, and I don't want to be the guy, get your fucking hands out of your pockets. What are you doing with your hands? Like, that's what it means to be an elite. I want to be a warrior. I want to be a freaking elite combat warrior. I don't want to be a show horse where I gotta hide tight and nicely press stuff. I want to be a workhorse. I want to be in the dirt doing the shit in the shadows where nobody knows me, nobody sees me. That's the stuff I wanted to do. So it was kind of a dream kill when I going through the Marines and doing that kind of stuff. It was cool. I got to become a scout sniper, but I mean, it was not nearly as prestigious, but I really enjoyed contracting way more. I did way cooler stuff. I was not babysat. We operated on our own, did what we wanted, ran the streets of Baghdad in 12-man teams. That's it.
You get paid better, right?
Way better. Yeah. And, you know, you do whatever you want. And I started that when I was like 23, 24 years old, you know. When we got to guard Arnold Schwarzenegger, I was like 24, 25 years old, you know, guarding Arnold Schwarzenegger, run the streets of Baghdad, dropping off dignitaries and diplomats and stuff for the State Department. I'd go up on the roof and set up my sniper rifle and set up security. You know, I'm doing this stuff in my early 20s when kids are barely thinking about graduating college and not drinking on the weekends anymore, you know, making six figures doing it, you know. So it's like, I enjoyed that. That felt like what it was supposed to be when I went in the Marine Corps, you know, so. And the quality of guys actually were a lot better, even though Marines are highly trained. But when you go to contracting, it's like the highest guys of all of the units. So I've worked with Army Rangers, Army Special Forces guys. I've worked with Navy SEALs. I've even worked with some Air Force PJs. So I've worked with all the the higher. We all come together in contracting. It's we're a lot higher trained guys. You know. I enjoyed that a lot better. That's why I didn't make a career out of it, basically, the whole long.
I understand that, too. It sounds like it had like it's probably not the right term, but like a lot of bureaucracy to it almost.
Yeah, a lot of micromanaging and stuff. See, like when I said, when you're under the big boy rules and operating on your own, there's no micromanaging. You just do what you're supposed to do, and you're expected to do it. You don't have to sit around and have everybody babysit you and stuff like that. So.
Okay, so I have a question. I guess it kind of goes into that. So. Being a Marine is pretty hardcore on its own, and then being a sniper on top of that, and now being a bodybuilder on top of that. So what's it like? Do you kind of feel being back now in civilian life and stuff? Does it kind of give you like a sense of empowerment, kind of that you're a very bad man? I know that sounds dumb, but like compared to like the average person,
Not really, because when you walk around, nobody knows what you've done. And really, in the end, nobody really gives a shit. Honestly, and that's what I try to tell. Like, a lot of people like to brag about what they've done. Like, you were talking about your buddy who bought some. I don't want to, someone who brags about, shit, and then somebody be bragging to me about something, and I just never say anything, because really, in the end, no one really cares. The people that care already know, and other than that, people that. There was a time when it was cool when I was younger, when it was cool that you came back from Iraq, but it's almost all forgotten about, No one said, there's no one lining up to shake your hand. No one really cares anymore. I mean, some people might think that's cool, but it's almost just like, I'm just normal. But the only thing is, it's hard is like, after doing all that stuff early on, young, it's hard to find things that are fulfilling now. So like, that's the only difficult thing. It's just and that's why I like bodybuilding. It's like my meditation, my safe haven to focus now internally on my own development as my mind, body, and spirit, and meet other people, influence other people, motivate other people. I try to make it about other people than myself. People always stop me in the gym, talk to me. I always try to give them a good attitude, and I never try to act like I'm in a hurry or annoyed, unless they're trying to hold me up for like 10 minutes. But I don't mind stopping and giving someone a tip here and there real quick, and that's what like I said, I've tried to rethink what my purpose is. I'm not really worried about the whole trying to make it to the top and be the man. It's more like, what am I going to give back to this world, and what am I going to be remembered for, and what's my purpose, and what's going to fulfill me. If I do all those things right, and I do it good, better than everyone else, then success will come with that. I'm not going to chase success and hoping, I'm going to try to chase the other things. And I know that in that journey that the things I need in life will be provided to me, so rather than chasing it the other way. So that's kind of how it is now. Just everything I've been through, it's kind of said and done. Really, in the end, nobody really cares as much as you like to. That's with anything. I forget. It's like a saying. It's like nobody really cares about you, cares about what you do or what you've done as much as you think they do. So it's like really, unless somebody asks me or whatever, I never really say anything about it. So I don't look at myself that way. And I also always think to myself, whatever I've done, there's always somebody out there who's done way more and the way cooler shit and who's more highly trained and everything. So I was only in for 4 years. Those guys have done that for 10, 15 years in Special Forces, Navy SEALs. They've been all over the world, done shit that you can never talk about. So there's been plenty of guys who've done what I've done, really. So it's not that big of a deal, really, to me.